Stratford-on-Avon District Council, Councillor Jenny Fradgley.
Welcome to this full council meeting. There are no planned fire alarms scheduled at this time. Therefore, should the fire alarm go off, please make your way out of the building via the nearest fire exit to the car park beside the Windmill Public House. Councillors, when addressing the meeting, please stand and ensure your microphone is switched on and that you speak directly into the microphone so that it is picked up via the live audio feed. When you have finished addressing the meeting, please turn off your microphone immediately. Please do not move the microphone from its set position, and when speaking, ensure the microphone is directly in front of you and not to the side or higher up. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies have been received from Councillors Bromwich, Eden, Hatch, Ostrander, Padgham, Pertigella and Skinner. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Deputy Monitoring Officer to advise on dispensations.
Thank you, Chair. The subject of local government reorganisation and devolution has implications for all councillors, officers and residents, and the Monitoring Officer has therefore granted a general dispensation to all councillors in relation to this item, as without it, the number of members prohibited from participating would be so great a proportion of the council as to impede the transaction of the business. For the avoidance of doubt, the dispensation covers dual-hatted members and the dispensation lasts for the duration of this meeting.
Thank you. Do any members or officers have any declarations of interest on items on the agenda? No? Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, public participation. Item 3, there are no questions have been received from members of the public. So we will move on to item 4, minute 581, local government reorganisation proposals, interim plan. Item 4 on the agenda, I just read that, sorry. The normal rules of debate will apply with a maximum of 5 minutes speaking time each. May I just say at the beginning of the debate that all comments this is a single item agenda, and all comments made by councillors should be pertinent to the agenda item. Thank you. I invite Councillor Juned to introduce this report.
Can I thank you for all being here today? I think this is probably going to be one of the most key meetings, this and the November meeting, in the history of this council as a district council for 50-odd years. We know that the government has made it clear that it wishes to see the end of two-tier working, which will mean the end of district councils and county councils and the formation of new unitary councils. We have before us an interim plan that's been agreed by all 5 district councils in Warwickshire, and that is a starting point. We have amongst the councils, there has been a clear preference for a north-south unitary option, but they have also recognised that they need to be able to put a balanced case to government that looks at the whole of Warwickshire. The final submission will be put together in November, and that submission has to have the evidence, not only of the data, but of the collaboration, the partnership that will be undertaken, along with the final strategic authority that we will have as part of the mix. We have to make the case that the most important part of the vision is the people who live here, the services we give them. We have to make sure that that it is not just savings that it dominates. We have to make sure that local services work well and that we demonstrate that we're able to give local services that work well. It must be carefully worked out and backed up by evidence. We know that there is widespread research that shows that localised councils are more responsive to the needs of their communities and businesses, and we do need to be able to make that message going forward. We have to be able to make sure that we have a message that goes to government. It's not the size of local government that makes the most of the thing. It's the improvements that we can give in efficiency, effectiveness, as well as cost reduction. Indeed, local democracy and citizen engagement is at the risk of damage when local government becomes too distant and out of touch. And being able to put that message forward at a time when we have housing crisis, cost of living crisis and social care crisis, that we mustn't forget just who public services are really for and what we need to achieve to meet residents' needs. So we have before us a report, which is an interim report that has been agreed, as I said, by all 5 district councils across Warwickshire. And there are recommendations on that report that we will approve the interim plan, that the Chief Executive will be authorised to make minor changes, and will be minor changes as the data comes through, in consultation with myself, and that a fund of £50,000 be made available from the District Council's inflation reserve to finance the additional support required to complete the formal November submission to the invitation for local government review. And just to go back, I think this is a time for unity. It's a time to recognise that this is one of the most key parts of this District Council's life, being able to leave behind a legacy. And it's not the legacy of chaos, it is the legacy of being able to give and determine and guarantee that the communities and local people, local residents, will get the public services they deserve. I do hope you will all support the interim plan as we move forward. And then we will get to, this is a starting point, but we will get to the November submission. And that's when a lot of work and a lot of consideration is going to be needed. And I do hope that you will join with me in being able to start the process today.
Thank you. I call for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Rock.
I'd like to reserve my right to speak at the end of the debate, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any members who wish to speak on this matter? That's just Councillor Wally Hoggins.
Thank you, Chair. It is right and fitting that this Lib Dem controlled council have been called upon to lead this district in the submission for devolution. That is because this Lib Dem council has in fact given a Class A demonstration of why devolution is so very, very important. The opposition leader, the leader of the council said about the spending and legacy. And at the moment, the legacy, and I keep going back to the budget, the legacy is that this council is not fixated on public services. It is not fixated on giving good value for taxpayers' money. We go back to the £1.9 million for green projects, the £1.2 million on the hydroelectric scheme.
Excuse me, Councillor. I'm advised that you're actually going off the subject on the agenda. We're not discussing the budget today. I have been advised. We're not discussing the budget today. Can you please restrict your comments to the item on the agenda? Thank you.
Thank you. So therefore, I look forward to hearing in due course, whichever proposals move forward, how the proposals are going to move forward to be able to provide, send education, social care, the fire service and the home school transport. I look forward to knowing how this council is going to proceed to making the most use out of taxpayers' money so that the devolution works well, so that taxpayers get the best value for money in whichever way we move forward with this. And I say this, having done some work, 5 years with a single unitary is £82 million worth of savings. 5 years over 2 unitaries is about £8 million worth of savings. So we must make sure, as we move forward with our proposals or with the investigations into this, that the disaggregation costs are looked into very clearly. And I'm sure that the £50,000 that's been earmarked will pay particular attention to that. And that is why it's so very important with these proposals that we look beyond a north and a south divide for Warwickshire, that we explore all options very carefully and very critically. And that is what I'm standing here today to say. All options must be considered, because money is short and taxpayers are suffering in every echelon of our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. May I call on Councillor Keithley?
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and stay on piste with my question rather than wandering off to other areas. I just wanted to say I realise the amount of time and effort that have been put in already to the interim plan, and I think we thank those that have been involved in doing it. They've had very little time. And on Friday at Overview and Scrutiny, we were able to look in detail at the plan, and the Chief Executive was there to help. What I wanted to ask was, how are we going to engage with the residents? And there are, across the piece, around 620,000. Anybody watching this might want to know whether or not they would be consulted during this process, or they would just be informed of our proposals at some point during the next probably 6 or 7 months, actually, because if the final document needs to be put forward at the end of November, we haven't got that long. So I just wondered if you could clarify that for me, please, or somebody could. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair. So Susan can sum up at the end.
There will be a summary at the end of all the points that are being made now, and they should be summed up at the end via the proposer and seconder. May I call on Councillor Coles?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make sure that we are all clear that the responsibilities of this council are the ones that we are taking now, and the services we provide are the ones that are mandated to this council. Fire, police, SEND, education, social care are the responsibilities of a different council, and that council will no longer exist when we no longer exist, and they will become the responsibilities of a new council. They will be mandated by an election, their council members will be chosen. We have no duty to do anything other than to provide the services we do as a council and to ensure suitable fiscal responsibility in order to do them. We need to make sure that we are mindful in our work as we go along, that we are working, A, to provide a smooth transition, and B, to carry on with the services that we provide as this council. There will be an accumulation of the services of those responsibilities from district and county into the new council, but neither we nor the existing council, county council, are that council. So I don't think now is the time to stop doing our responsibilities in order to serve a new council, because that doesn't even exist yet. I think I have heard my colleagues say business as usual, and I would recommend that that is precisely what this council gets on with.
Do I have any other speakers on this topic? Oh, Councillor Crump.
Yeah, just very briefly, Chair, thank you. Councillor Keithley nicely teed me up mentioning Overview and Scrutiny Committee. And I think if you just look at the report from the Cabinet this morning, just before the recommendations, that there's 2 paragraphs that we felt were pertinent from Overview and Scrutiny Committee. And we recommended significant engagement with parish and town councils, composing a programme for engagement and for all members to assist in dispersing information to parish and town councils throughout their wards. It was suggested that the parish forum, or I wonder who runs that, be utilised for this purpose, and it was also noted that all members should encourage residents and local councils to respond to the government's consultation, which I believe is due to take place in 2026. Overview and Scrutiny Committee also requested that it continue to be involved through the process, particularly to look at the financial implications, staffing and public engagement. And the Chief Exec had confirmed that he and the Section 151 officer would attend Overview and Scrutiny Committees as required. So just the feedback from there, and obviously we were watching brief, and that was agreed unanimously at Overview and Scrutiny. As you remember there, Chair, rather than ex officio, so thank you very much. I'm sure you can confirm that, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. May I call on Councillor Littlewood?
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me? Last time you couldn't. Okay. I've just heard Councillor Coles finalise her statement or a comment with the need for this council to show fiscal responsibility. But at the beginning of her statement, she said, we don't need to look beyond over the horizon. We don't need to look forward. Yes, for God's sake, yes, I heard you say that. I don't know if you want to talk to me directly, but I think we should go through the chair.
Excuse me, we don't have a conversation while we're actually debating.
Exactly my point, Chair. Exactly my point. So you can't have it, your cake and eat it, basically. We are, whatever we do, whatever this council decides is the way forward with the other 5 authorities, it has to be done with an eye to the future. This isn't our money. This is money that's kept in store for the community, for the residents. And wasting it is not the right thing to do. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should waste the money, or it is intended to waste the money. But Councillor Cole said, we don't look forward further than 2 years. It's not our responsibility. Well, I totally disagree with that point. I think we're here to be responsible regardless. And I'm sorry, I think that just shows a trivial way in which Councillor Coles is taking this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. May I call on Councillor Gist?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to provide some reassurance about the Parish Forum for Councillor Crump and the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. In January, the Parish Forum was attended by 66 people, and the Chief Executive gave an update with regard to devolution and local government review. And in June, we're preparing the agenda already, and obviously there'll be a further update. Members are always invited to attend as observers, so please feel free to do that.
Thank you, Councillor. May I call on Councillor Curtis?
Thank you, Chair. Just a point on the budgets. The Lib Dems, Green and Conservative budget proposals all envisage this.
Sorry, Councillor, we're not discussing the budget. We're keeping our comments to the single item on the agenda.
Thank you for the reminder, Chair. I'll move on. Just responding to the points from Councillor Littlewood then. During the next few months, the costs associated with devolution will become much clearer. And bearing this in mind, and our duty to be fiscally responsible, we will be having a mid-year budget or spending review. However long we are in administration, I can assure Council that we will invest in the best possible interests of our residents. And if I leave a letter when this administration finally closes for my successor, it will show that our legacy will be a greener, cleaner and healthier district with adequate reserves for our successor authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shelton.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I should have logged on. I wasn't going to get involved in this debate, but Councillor Curtis has raised his end point about, we'll leave a leaner, greener, council with adequate reserves. Well, you benefited from what we did when we put together the action plan. We left you with big reserves. I'll say no more than that because this is in danger of going off piste.
Thank you, Councillor. I was about to actually make a comment. We're now back on piste. Thank you very much. Is there an Councillor Rice?
Thank you, Chair. I just thought, given that a few numbers are being thrown around, that it would be useful to read a passage from the report that the Chief Executive is going to submit to the government. In fact, the one we have in front of us and the one we're going to vote on. And it's in response to something that was said earlier. And it says here, an initial high-level estimate at this stage undertaken by Deloitte on behalf of all 5 districts and borough councils identifies savings of about 21 million could be delivered through a single unitary Warwickshire. This estimate accords to the initial estimate from Warwickshire County Council. And then it goes on to say, and the potential savings from a two unitary model would be about 18 million, which is not quite the same as I think was stated earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have any other councillors wishing to add to the debate? In which case, may I go to the... Oh, sorry, Councillor Rock.
Thank you, Chair. I think I suffer the same difficulties Councillor Littlewood with my distance from the microphone. Probably that will be the end of the comparison, I suspect. Hopefully, as we come to the second, it's a fairly brief debate, but at the beginning, Councillor Wally-Hoggins said, amongst other things, that she hoped we were going to explore all options. And indeed, this is what this paper suggests. We are at the beginning of that journey. It's a journey that's been presented to us by others from elsewhere in Westminster, which didn't seem to be quite what was expected in my mind by devolution, I have to say. And I think there's probably an ambitious timetable has been involved, which has been said by others, has presented particularly officers with an ambitious task to realise all the work that's got to be done. And I thank officers for the work that's been done and has got to be done in this timescale. But we are faced with having to present this outline work with others, with a plan that's been agreed with others, and that's why I'm seconding this motion. I think something's been mentioned about taking the public with us, and I think that's quite important, and we do it at every stage, and that is also addressed in here. The government, when they come to some conclusion, have promised us they're going to do some sort of consultation. When it gets to it, and we've got a proposal, I hope we're not involved in some major campaign of a difference of opinion. I hope we're going to get some coalescence of opinion as we go forward, but we'll see how we carry on. Clearly, there are some concerns. I've got some concerns in here. Some of us have got very big wards. When I was first elected to council, I had 1,800 electors per councillor. We're talking about much bigger numbers than that. And I am concerned about doing the absolute best we can for our residents. That's what we're all here for, and I think everybody that's on both sides of this chamber, that's what we're here for, and that's, to my mind, is the top objective we've got to go for. I therefore commend this plan to the council, and I have pleasure in seconding it. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. May I call on Councillor Junid to wind up the debate?
Can I thank you for raising certain items? One of the government criteria is that proposals should include evidence of local engagement, an explanation of the views that have been put forward, and how concerns will be addressed. If you read the interim plan, on page 10 of that interim plan is a particular segment on engagement. It says in it, in the first paragraph, it finishes, we've also entered early discussions with public sector partners. It then goes on page 11 to say what will be done in the next stage of the process, that we will undertake and more formal stakeholder engagement will be taken with public sector sector partners in the NHS, education and policing through strategic involvement in the development of proposals. Members of Parliament will be consulted through one-to-one meetings to seek views and feedbacks as proposals develop. Town and parish councils with further meetings to discuss community governments in the context of future local authority arrangement. Residents will be consulted through consultation events in communities and running a formal independent public consultation to gather views. Community groups and voluntary organisations will be engaged through consultation events, and business also through groups such as Chambers of Commerce, along with meetings with individual businesses. All must be engaged and brought on board about what their views are for this big major change that local government is going to undertake. This is the beginning of a journey. We mustn't forget that vision. But can I also cast back the fact that this district council has been going on for 50 years? I said it in the cabinet this morning that I would like to be able to give my sincere thanks to all those public servants over many, many years who've made this district council, the history of this district council, what it is. This is the beginning of a different chapter, but we mustn't forget all the good things that have gone on, and my sincere thanks to those that have made this district council what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. We have a proposer and a seconder. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Okay. Yeah. And then against and abstentions.
Okay. Thank you. All those against? Any abstentions?
That's carried, yeah.
Thank you. That's carried. And thank you. Now, there's no urgent business. The next meeting of the Council is scheduled to take place on Monday, the 14th of April 2025. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed.